now somebody being shared with Austin. So, yeah. So I don't. We used to have two really good guys. We had a guy named Pat Evans who was around for like 30, 35 years, who was really, really good.
Brian pretty much is glued in on commercials, spots, and.
But we can make do. I can use my limited Neanderthal, and I am 0.5% Neanderthal according to 23andMe. I can use my Neanderthal technical skills to create stuff. Which occasionally I stumble into something of value.
Have you been listening to the Karen audio?
Which one?
The courtside Karen. It's not safe for work or radio play.
Wow, I have not.
But this woman apparently was with her really old husband at the Laker game last night in Atlanta, and they have courtside seats, and he's a LeBron hater, so said something to LeBron. LeBron came over and started cussing him out. She stood up.
The one who got thrown out?
Yeah. She stood up for her husband, and LeBron said some things to her, and then they got thrown out, and then she went on an Instagram live.
Oh my God, I got to see that.
Herself and
walk us through that on the air.
Okay.
Yeah, and apparently I saw it was a maskless fan, a maskless heckler. So apparently she wasn't wearing a mask.
I buy that. That's probably what LeBron said to begin with. I haven't seen the video of the actual interaction, if that's even available. But it's just ridiculous. Like hashtag she's 25 and courtside Karen are currently trending.
Oh my God, I didn't see that. Thank you. We'll have to talk about that. But again, we'll let people know it's not safe for work, which is all the more intriguing. Ticket 760 is now live. There we are. There's Hector Gomez, Tracy Bogert, Luisa Alanis, David Valles. Gosh, you guys jumped in here early this morning. You jumped in here before the show started.
For the stream from one to the other, but now I'm back on the studio mic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 30 seconds out. John Williams, welcome in. Anthony Del Toro. Tracy Bogert using his real name. Elizabeth Jones, good morning. Michelle Johnson from Marysville, Kansas. 10 seconds. Nefo Zuna. Here we go. It's a Taco Tuesday and it's Groundhog Day. Oh my God. Woo! Clint Proctor. This is the Chris Duel Show. You and your tortillas. Laura Burris, good morning. Now, Chris Duel. Oh my goodness, what a day this is. It is not only Taco Tuesday, it is not only Tater Tot Day. Apparently that's a thing. It is Groundhog Day, people. It is Groundhog Day. Will Puxatani Phil see his shadow? Do we care? But most importantly, I understand that AMC, the cable channel, and I guess now it's a satellite channel too, is running the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray all day, throughout the day and the night today. They're going to run it again and again and again and again. Shannon, that's not bad. If you're going to have a Groundhog Day tradition, I could see, especially in the era of COVID.
I was going to say we're living in our own Groundhog Day movie.
Point. You are correct. But I could see if you sit back, lock yourself in. There's like a blizzard in the Northeast, so they're locked in. They're snowbound anyway. But if you've got snacks and adult beverages, lock yourself in and watch Groundhog Day again and again and again on Groundhog Day. That's not a bad idea.
No, I'd go for it.
Yeah.
So, because I've seen that out there, apparently they're supposed to get 13 inches and it ended up being 37.
Oh my God. Wow. I knew it was bad. That's pretty. And again, for a very brief time, well, actually for 2 years, I lived in north of Colorado Springs. I was, believe it or not, for 2 years, a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy. And I grew up in San Antonio, and only once in my life did I see snow. And it was just a little dusting of snow one February when I was like 13 years old. And it was like an inch on the ground, and it looked fun. And we made snowmen, and we threw snowballs. And I thought, isn't snow cool? And then when I lived in Colorado, I found out snow hurts. You'll be like walking and snow will blow into your face and it will sting your face. It will get into your eyes. And after about a day and a half of snow, you're like, I'm over it. This sucks. It's god. And then it turns to slush and dirt and dreck and frozen hell. And no, thank you. This is why we live in South and Central Texas. So we don't have to put up with no stinking snow.
Yeah, snow day here and there is totally fun and awesome. And I love a good ski vacation.
Yes.
I prefer that over a beach vacation, but it's always nice to come back home.
Yes, yeah, that's the way to do snow. Go ski, get into it, drink some Kahlua and coffee, whatever you do. Go ski and then get the hell out. So, yeah. Michelle Johnson joining us from Marysville, Kansas this morning on Facebook Live says, in all caps, no, snow sucks. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Which, by the way, if you're new to the show, we are streaming live video on a bunch of platforms that you can find us on, most notably Facebook Live on AM 1300 The Zone and on Ticket 760 on Facebook Live. You can join us that way. It's also being pushed out on YouTube, and there are links to it on our Twitter pages at Ticket 760 and at AM 1300 The Zone. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We should introduce, it's only right, because he's the hardest working man in sports talk radio. I believe doing a triple shift today, doing this show, and then in San Antonio at 2 doing the sports grind, and then at 4 doing the Mike Taylor show. And I saw him here last night doing like the UTSA coaches show. The one, the only, the lovely Sam Freeze. Sam, how you doing, man?
Doing well, y'all. How we doing this morning?
I'm good. How do you stay in a good mood when you work around the clock and are sleep deprived? The more sleep deprived I am, the crankier I am. I don't know how you do it, man.
I mean, without peeling the curtain back too much, life isn't that bad on this side of the glass. I mean, it's I think we've said it before. I mean, hell, you were up here doing Spurs last night. I mean, it's not like we're out digging fence posts or doing any back-breaking type of labor. I mean, we're in here talking sports. I mean, if you had told 16-year-old Sam that he would work a triple shift where he gets to talk sports all day, I think 16-year-old Sam with his terrible work ethic would have been like, absolutely sign me up.
That's true.
I would do that for 30 years.
That's true. If you or I or Shannon complain and we get to talk sports, and in your case, all day and all night, things could be worse.
We love what we do. Not a lot of people get to say that.
What's the so you said it's not a backbreaking job. Sam, what's the crappiest job you ever had? Then we'll ask Shannon. What was your crappiest job ever?
Man, let me think. Really, like in high school, I didn't work a whole lot because of athletics. And then college, after I quit playing, I worked at a used car dealership for 4 years. And it was, I mean, again, it was not the definition of hard manual labor. I mean, I worked as a porter for a small town dealership. So there wasn't a whole hell of a lot to do unless they were selling cars. And the small town car dealership doesn't move a whole lot of inventory. So it was, needless to say, it was the pretty cush job there. Honestly, probably the one I didn't, this is ironic. Now it had the least amount of physical exertion, But it was the one I could not enjoy at all. I was a media analyst whenever I first
Whoa.
came to town. Yeah, before
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, it's extremely boring, and it's a bunch of spreadsheets and crunching numbers, which also explains probably why I always try to use stats to make the greatest of all time argument or whatever I'm arguing with Mike about that day. But probably just the sheer pain of staring at Excel spreadsheets for 8 hours a day. That's probably the worst job I've ever had.
Wow. All right. That's Sam's worst job, staring at Excel spreadsheets for 8 hours a day. Shannon, worst job ever.
Well, we all know radio pays so well.
Yes, we're rolling in
So naturally, I had a second job where I would leave my radio job and go to this woman's house. She owns a tea subscription service where they basically every month they send you different teas for you to try.
Whoa.
And all those boxes are hand packed. And it's like 8 hours of almost like factory line work where you're just walking around, packing up these teas, packing up the boxes, putting the slips together. And her business was growing so much that she like built out her basement, but it wasn't a real basement. It's like a Texas basement where it's really meant for storage. And I walked in there, and I'm only 5'6", and my head was almost touching the ceiling. There was no air conditioning. I was like, I think I'm done here. Thank you so much for my $8 an hour for standing on my feet all day. And now I see her like the company on BuzzFeed is like subscription services you should try. And I'm like,
no.
If only they knew the struggle it was to create those boxes and get them to people.
How long did you last?
I was there for a couple of months.
Yeah. Wow. My worst job ever. I was in Southern California. I was jobless and homeless and sleeping on the couch at my sister's apartment in Venice Beach. And she had a boyfriend at the time who worked construction. So he said, yeah, I'll give Chris can come to work with me. He can work construction with me. The bad news is I've got no construction skills. So they were like having me like try to do a bunch of different things on a construction site. It was a new neighborhood that was being built like in Simi Valley, California. So they said, well, you got no carpentry skills. Let's try painting. He sucks at painting. You got no painting skills. So then they said, all right, well, and they used a very derogatory term. There were undocumented workers down the hill digging ditches. So they said, well, Chris has no skills. Go on down there and dig some ditches. So I'm with these guys speaking Spanish. They were illegals, and I've never dug ditches before, but after about 5 minutes with a shovel digging ditches, my arms and my biceps and even my elbows were like quivering in pain. At lunchtime, they go, all right, time for lunch. Let's break. I had my car with me. I got in my car. I drove out of there. I didn't even get paid for the morning because I didn't stick around for the whole day. So my worst job ever, I was a ditch digger for half a day for a morning, and it sucked. And I was god awful at it, and I did not get paid for it.
I would have cried if that was my situation.
I darn near.
Reminds me of the movie Holes, or I guess it's a book, but
I was probably like 25 years old. I probably darn near. I felt like A, I'm homeless. B, I'm unemployed. C, I have no money. And D, I even suck at ditch digging. So yeah, there was mine.
Look at you now.
Oh yeah, woo! I'm moving up in the world. You could be moving up in the world. We got some money for you. We hope it is the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. Do it throughout the day at 20 after the hour. We do it at 6:20 and at 7:20 and throughout the day, 20 after the hour until about 8:20 tonight. Be listening for your chance to win. It goes a little bit something like this. Tanner Carlson. Good luck. All right, Chris Duel Show, Shannon, Salty Sweeney, and Sam Freese. Couple of things. I see John Williams on Facebook Live. He joins us from the Dallas area. He says his worst job was bagging groceries at the Fort Sam Houston Commissary in San Antonio for tips. And this will lead us into a little bit of a conversation because you know more about it than I do. I have not seen any of the video yet. Tanner Carlson our good friend. He was in studio yesterday. He'll be here on Thursday to make his Super Bowl pick. Tanner, in all caps, Shannon says, we need more courtside Karen talk. Apparently, courtside Karen is trending. For the uninitiated, Shannon, who is and what is courtside Karen?
Well, fair warning, if you look up courtside Karen and click on her videos, they are not safe for work. So be aware of your surroundings. We won't be airing her Instagram feed live on radio today because we just don't have enough time to bleep it all through. It wouldn't make it. But basically, LeBron and the Hawks were playing last night. Courtside Karen apparently married to a much older gentleman. She's 25, which is also a thing that's trending about her because I guess
he's an old guy with front row seats at an NBA game. All right.
And he apparently is a LeBron hater. And she starts off her video saying, I'm not a LeBron hater. I don't have a problem with LeBron. But LeBron started going at my husband. So I stood up for him. And then he started calling me all these names. And ultimately they got kicked out. I've just seen the video of the altercation, air quotes, of LeBron talking to them. And she is doing the mask is on, but she's got it pulled down under her chin. So she's not really wearing a mask. It's one of those things where they're like, ma'am, can you pull up your mask? And they do it for like that half second, and they pull it right back down where she's not even attempting to do that. But she's all over the internet. She posted videos of her getting kicked out. She's posted videos when she's back home reflecting on the situation. Courtside Karen, the theme of the day. I love it. We get up in the morning and we look through headlines to see anything we missed last night when we've gone to bed. And this was not what I was expecting today.
Yeah. And see, what the headline I saw at like 3:30 this morning was maskless heckler ejected for going after LeBron James. So
too long of a title.
Exactly.
They had to go courtside Karen.
Is so much better.
Right.
Now I want, so many people don't like LeBron James. I wonder if courtside Karen is going to get, what better way if you want to trend and explode on social media, get into a fight with LeBron James.
Right.
I mean, probably half the people at least are going to become courtside Karen fans, I imagine.
Well, and she claims that LeBron used a couple derogatory terms her way, which I understand he's in a game and he's in the heat of a moment and he's got hecklers, but I think he'd be used to hecklers at this point. So it's not the best look for him, should that be true. Of course, she's, if you look at her, she's pretty over the top. She's even using a bling filter during her video where she's like, I'm not a gold digger.
Now, all right, she's 25-ish. Her boyfriend, an older gentleman, front row seats.
Her husband. Very clear that it's her husband. And the ring on her finger is there to prove it.
Whoa. Is she attractive? I got to go look at her during the break. Is she a good-looking woman?
The doctors have done their best.
That you're helping to fill in the blanks. Wow. All right. And she's proclaims, I am not a gold digger. Courtside Karen. During the break, I am going to go look at courtside Karen. Tanner Carlson says on Facebook Live, Tanner says, I want to be courtside Karen when I grow up. Completely alpha'd LeBron. So according to Tanner Carlson, who is a professional news reporter for 1200 WOAI in San Antonio, Tanner says she wins. She slammed LeBron James and she's the winner. So apparently courtside Karen has earned Tanner Carlson as a fan.
It's Taco Tuesday, and we all know how much LeBron loves Taco Tuesday. He's probably forgotten all about it.
It's Taco Tuesday. It's Groundhog Day. In fact, I'm looking live on Fox News. The Punxsutawney Phil ceremony is happening as we speak. It is snowing in.
I was going to say, how can he see a shadow?
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Yeah, snow is coming down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white dudes, 3 of whom are not wearing masks, reading a proclamation scroll, and they are holding. What is Punxsutawney Phil? A muskrat of some kind? What is a groundhog?
He's
right?
A groundhog. It's Groundhog Day.
I'm looking. I know him. I know him as Punxsutawney Phil. I'm thinking, is he a beaver? Is he a mother?
I think we're going to teach the first graders about it today. You should maybe hop in on one of those Zoom classes.
Groundhog Day. Wow, it's Groundhog Day. It's courtside Karen Day, and 6 more weeks of winter has been proclaimed, I guess, because Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow. So
and there's snow everywhere.
Snow is everywhere. Wear your masks, white dudes. White dudes in the top hats. And put a mask on that groundhog. Groundhogs can get COVID also. You freaks. Courtside Karen would have a hard time with you people. Nobody's wearing a mask. Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Get off my lawn. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. He is Sam Freese. I don't even know a groundhog when I see one. It's the kind of freak I am. I'm going to go watch Courtside Karen right now during the break. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. All right. Fonzie J. Rodriguez. Courtside Karen, it is time. It is time for Courtside Karen. Courtside. Searching Twitter.
Go to the videos Tanner shared on Twitter.
Say again?
That's the fastest. Tanner shared some videos on his Twitter feed.
Tanner did it. Okay. That'll make it easy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Tanner is all about Courtside Karen.
He's Mr. Newsman. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly. He knows what a groundhog is on Groundhog Day. Okay, there I see Brady there. Oh my! Wow, she is a piece of work. Okay, now why am I not getting audio on this? See, this computer sucks.
Is it because you have me and Q?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look on my phone. Nothing but the finest technology in this studio. Twitter. Yeah, she looks very normal and mainstream. There's Tanner. Here comes Courtside Karen.
Down to earth, Southern girl.
Now we can we're okay with language on Facebook.
You shut your fucking mouth, bitch. Just got kicked out of the game for talking shit to LeBron James, for talking shit to my fucking husband.
Courtside Karen, everyone.
This is such fucking bullshit.
She loves the F-bomb.
LeBron James looked at my husband during the game and cussed him out, and I stood up and I go, don't fucking talk to my husband. Talk to my husband one more time and I will fuck you up. And he started fighting with me. He goes, shut your mouth, dumb bitch. And I go, you shut your fucking mouth, bitch.
Courtside Karen. All right, I got another one from Tanner.
And Chris has been a Hawks fan forever.
Chris!
He's been watching the games for 10
married to a
years.
Chris.
He has this
That's
issue
your wife.
with LeBron. I don't have an issue with LeBron. I don't give a fuck about LeBron. Anyway, I'm minding my own business, drinking my having fun. All of a sudden, LeBron says something to my husband. And I see this and I stand up and go, don't fucking talk to my husband. And he looks at me and he goes, sit the fuck down, bitch. And I go, don't fucking call me a bitch. You get the fuck out of here. And I go, don't fucking talk to my husband like that. Don't talk to my husband. And he literally was like, fuck you, bitch. Sit down, bitch. And all of a sudden, now I'm getting kicked out. Excuse me, I have courtside seats that I pay for. Fuck you, LeBron. You're a fucking pussy. Get the fuck out of here. You're going to let a 25-year-old girl intimidate you during a game? Bye, bitch.
Wow.
I truly cannot fathom how whack some of you guys are. Like, I don't know about you.
Whoops. My phone went to sleep on Courtside Karen.
You guys, but if my girl was at a game and someone was talking to me and my girl didn't stand up for me, I would reevaluate that relationship. So for all of you clowns saying, your wife's a gold digger, guess what? If I was a gold digger, I would sit back and mind my own fucking beeswax and I wouldn't open my mouth. But guess what? I'm not a gold digger. That's my husband. I love him. If someone disrespects him, I will check him, whether it's LeBron James or a fucking bum on the street.
Wow. A star is born. So much more entertaining than the ESPN headline that I saw earlier today. Let me see if that's still at ESPN.com. Yeah, fan ejected after spat with LeBron in Atlanta.
That's such a PC title.
Yeah. Dave McMenamin was the writer. 4 courtside fans, at least one of whom was not covering her face with a mask, were ejected from Monday's game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Atlanta Hawks following a verbal spat with Lakers star LeBron James, the Hawks confirmed to ESPN. Juliana Carlos, we now know her name, Juliana Carlos, and her husband, Chris Carlos, exchanged words with James in the fourth quarter of the visiting. At least they got to get into the fourth quarter, prompting their ejection. Juliana Carlos posted on a video on her Instagram account showing the scene shortly after State Farm Arena security personnel and one of the referees, Mitchell Irvin, intervened. She can be heard saying, "Shut the F up. Don't talk about my husband like that," while standing on the sideline with her mask pulled down below her chin. Someone off camera can be heard asking her to put her mask on, which is required of all fans attending NBA games this season. She wrote, "Effing loser," in a text box accompanying the video with her camera pointed at James. After the ejection, Carlos posted a selfie-style video offering her account of what happened. Then they quote her, which we just heard. James was not asked post-game about Carlos's name-calling allegation, but he was not fazed by the incident and said he felt like an ejection was unnecessary. Hey, there you go. LeBron said, "At the end of the day, I'm happy fans are back in the building. I miss that interaction. I need that interaction. We as players need that interaction. I don't feel like it was warranted to be kicked out." He did say alcohol could have been a factor, however. Quote, "They might have had a couple of drinks maybe, and they could have probably kept it going during the game, and the game wouldn't have been about the game no more. So I think the referees did what they had to do." All right, he kind of contradicts himself there. James also said that Chris Carlos went out of bounds with whatever he directed at him. Quote, "I guess he said something." Oh, this is Montrezl Harrell saying this. Quote, "I guess he said something that rubbed the big dog the wrong way," said Lakers center Montrezl Harrell. While James said he was not close enough to the fans to be potentially compromised by Juliana Carlos removing her mask, other members of the Lakers found it unacceptable. Quote, "It certainly exposed something with regard to having fans in the pandemic," said Lakers coach Frank Vogel. "You obviously can't have fans taking their masks down and shouting at our players with the virus out there during these times." Anthony Davis said, quote, "With COVID going on, we obviously can't have that. We want to make sure we are all safe." Wow. She is the sports story of the morning. Courtside Karen. Philip Ramos Longoria, good morning. Clint Proctor says a better name for her is Plastic Patricia. Very good, sir. Courtside Karen. Plastic Patricia. Botox Barbie's not bad. Botox badass Barbie, because she is kind of badass. We will talk Texas versus Baylor at some point.
Her name is Juliana Carlos.
Say that again.
Her name is Juliana Carlos.
Juliana Carlos.
Her husband, Chris Carlos.
Well, is she married to Chris? There's never been a mass murderer named Chris. Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Chris's tend to be good guys, ladies. I'm just saying. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Tracy Bogert, Clint Proctor, Foot Foam 420 is back. Sam Tobias, here we come. Wes Perkins, welcome in. Rudy Van Moon, what is up, Rudy? Alan Green. Oh my goodness! I during the break, and we played her audio on Facebook Live. Because we can on Facebook Live, because that is not the domain of the FCC. Courtside Karen, whose real name is Juliana Carlos, she and her husband, Chris Carlos, at least she married a Chris, ejected in the fourth quarter of the game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Atlanta Hawks last night in Atlanta. And her name trending, Courtside Karen. Clint Proctor says a better name for her would be Plastic Patricia. I think maybe Botox Badass Barbie might not be a bad name for her. She does kind of have that. She does kind of have that Stepford kind of gold digger, not to stereotype, which is totally what I'm doing. Look to her. How would you describe her, Shannon? Perhaps we're better served by a woman describing this woman.
Have you seen Mean Girls?
I have seen Mean Girls,
She's
yes.
like the adult version of Regina George.
Wow, very nice.
We're just waiting for her to get hit by a bus.
She's at least, this will be her day. Taco Tuesday, Groundhog Day, this will be Courtside Karen Day.
And a day it's supposed to be about a groundhog. Congratulations, lady. You did it. You overcame the groundhog. You are the story of the day.
And oh, by the way, during the break there, I saw the ceremony in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, and we are due for 6 more weeks of winter officially. Sam Freese, have you watched Courtside Karen and your thoughts on her performance?
Yeah, this may not surprise you, but just like any of the Real Housewives shows or insert your reality dating show, I tend to avoid them like the plague. So I have not. I will laugh at y'all's commentary on Courtside Karen. I have not dipped my toes in those waters.
So even though it's a sports story, it involves LeBron James, and it's now pop culture, and she is now trending.
It's a spoiled 25-year-old woman who's running, like, talking trash to one of the best athletes on the face of the earth. Like, I don't need to hear her side of the story. I don't need to hear her perspective on it.
Wow, you're very.
She probably thought she was at a soccer game.
Yeah. You're very disciplined, Sam. It's like if you're driving by a car wreck or a train wreck, it's hard not to slow down and look. I mean, that's kind of how I see this.
You only get 24 hours in a day, and every second counts. And even if it's 30 seconds spent listening to some bleach blonde, spoiled aristocrat, I'll save those 30 seconds for something else.
Now, Sam, you call her a bleach blonde, spoiled aristocrat. She asserts emphatically in these videos she is not a gold digger. So I'm just saying.
So does she explain how she accrued her wealth?
She does not. I guess she married Chris Carlos. So I'm just,
Again, I don't think I need her perspective.
Let's see.
I'm sure Bravo's already reached out for her to join the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Wow.
I mean, the show's already a thing. Might as well get the hottest person on there.
What if it was all just a scheme for her? This was all part of her, like, casting tape, like casting reel to try to get.
Now we're getting conspiracies going.
Well, now I will waste time on a good conspiracy theory. I'll tell you that. Like, if we're gonna spin it off into a conspiracy, I could absolutely see your random rich socialite in Atlanta doing something like this with the only hopes and intentions of being on Real Housewives next season. Like, I would believe that storyline in 2021.
I say yes to all of the above. I say yes, she should be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I say yes, it would be a stroke of genius if this was her master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Because during COVID, she didn't know when she was going to get back to her courtside seat.
Right. And who's coming to town? LeBron James. I mean, you don't get into an altercation with I pick any other, like I mean, maybe Giannis, you'd make some noise, but not to the level of LeBron James. I mean, who has more followers on social media in the NBA than LeBron James? Get into an altercation with him, get thrown out, and then take to social media. It's absolutely. And if I'm the producers of Real Housewives of Atlanta, I snap her up. I grab all the footage I can from that moment. I do an episode on it. Oh my God, it's brilliant on every level.
I'm curious if any Atlanta players had any comments about her last night, because they're courtside seats. They're their seats.
Yeah.
So they've had to have seen her before.
Good point.
I would think.
Well, and you got to wonder in situations like this, franchises have banned certain fans. I wonder if the Atlanta Hawks, suspend her husband, Chris Carlos, and this woman, Juliana Carlos, suspend her for a game or two or for 10 games or, I guess, I mean, she got tossed and she didn't throw a water bottle at LeBron or anything like that, just language and getting tossed and taking her mask off. So, plus in this era, if they are season ticket holders, you don't want to tick off season ticket holders who are spending a lot of money at your games. So, wow.
That was part of her argument, was that she had the right to do that because she's the one spending the money on those seats.
Yeah.
Her logic is all over the place.
Well, and your biggest mistake, courtside Karen, a.k.a. Juliana Carlos, what? You don't pull the mask down and scream at somebody without a mask at an NBA game where masks are required of fans. So that's
because she's lost all leverage at that point.
Yeah.
It's on video.
And for those of you scoring at home, one of the ways COVID-19 is transmissed, or there is a transmission of it, is the louder you talk, and obviously if you're yelling, that's pretty loud, the more particles and moisture that comes out of your mouth and is spread into the air, and it goes further the louder you get. So if you're yelling, you are sending projectiles into the air more than if you're speaking softly. So without a mask, you are a COVID-19 threat. Courtside Karen. So once again, if you're just tuning in and if you're at work, Courtside Karen is not safe for work. She loves to drop the F-bombs. Okay. So moving on. We have a little basketball game tonight. In fact, it's a big basketball game. In fact, it is arguably the Big 12 basketball game of the season. It is one of the best college basketball games of the season. Number 2 Baylor versus now number 6 Texas at the Frank Irwin Center. And Shannon, my understanding, both teams now at full strength. Shaka Smart, as you previewed yesterday, he spoke with the media yesterday. The whole team, for the first time in like 19 days, everybody was able to practice on Sunday. So what we had hoped for, which would be both teams at full strength tonight at the Frank Irwin Center, barring a late COVID positive test by either team, looks like we're going to get that wish tonight.
Yeah, both teams at full strength, but certainly not probably as prepared as they wish they could be. Like you mentioned, Texas on Sunday, the team, all 11 scholarship players, as well as Shaka Smart, together for the first time in 19 days. Shaka even mentioned yesterday during his time with the media that there was a practice where he only had 2 players. Whoa. Which we never knew about. And he was really kind of talking. He was a little sunken. He just seemed almost sad. Almost someone even asked him, "What's going on with you?" And you could really tell he was really sick when he had COVID, and it took a lot out of him. It wasn't like he was at home. He wouldn't answer questions about how he watched the game because he wasn't even at home. He was isolated from not only the team but his family for days on end, and that really clearly took a toll on him. He didn't speak much about that OU game. He focused mostly on this Baylor matchup. He did mention, we're not in the position we'd like to be in just because that first game against Baylor was taken off the schedule earlier in the season. So typically you'd come into this game with a little bit more of a game plan going, but he is excited for the matchup. He's excited that fans will be in attendance. They are sold out of tickets. I think you can go to StubHub though, and that's like the official ticket swap place for Texas athletics. So you can get in the building. I saw the closest seats are going for $290 tonight.
Hey man,
and the cheap seats for $90.
Yeah, that ain't bad
So
for a game of this magnitude.
Get to it. Baylor's currently favored by 6. I think Baylor wins it. Unfortunately, I just don't see, after the sloppy play Texas had and the little time that they've all had together, them really being able to come on and get together and get this win over Baylor. But I think they'll play well, and it'll be great to get that kind of out of the way to move on for the rest of the season.
Well, and it'll be a great opportunity, and certainly we hope Texas gets the upset and gets the win tonight. It would be huge on so many levels. Baylor undefeated at 16-0, but it will be a great opportunity for Texas and for the rest of us who are fans to see how close Texas is to Baylor, because a lot of analysts say Baylor and Gonzaga, they are the real deal. They are head and shoulders above the rest of the college basketball competition. In fact, Shannon, it is our poll question this morning, and I'm a little surprised. You're as big of a Texas partisan as there is. You are picking Baylor in tonight's game, and it's the question we're asking people.
Yeah, I got to keep it real and stick with Baylor. But over on our poll, 55% of people are with me in picking Baylor tonight at 16-0. Number 6 Texas at 11-3, currently at 44%. So you can go vote on that over at AM13 in the Zone Ticket 760 Twitter pages.
And Sam Freese, you're a big basketball guy. You pay a lot of attention specifically to the Longhorn basketball program. Do you think the Longhorns can be in this thing? Do you think they can take it to Baylor tonight and maybe get the upset?
Yeah, I mean, I would expect them to put up a good showing. I mean, I'm kind of with Shannon. I think at the end of the night, Baylor probably walks away with a win, but I would not. I mean, even talking about Texas keeping it close sounds ridiculous. I mean, I don't see a blowout tonight. I see I was talking last night with my wife as we were watching the Tech Oklahoma game. If the Big 12 has had 5 schools at some point in the top 10 this year. And if Oklahoma State was eligible for postseason play, you could probably put that at 6 realistic teams that have an opportunity to win it all. And I think tonight you're seeing 2 teams that should be still standing when we get down to 16-8 and maybe even 4. I mean, I think you're looking at 2 of the best 7-8 teams in the country, and I expect them both to play that way.
How amazing if these 2 teams that we'll watch tonight, and it's a 6:00 start. It's on ESPN nationally. We've got it here for you on Ticket 760 in San Antonio, Texas versus Baylor. So as Sam mentions, I mean, these are 2 of the best teams. Certainly Baylor at number 2 in the country, Texas ranked 6th. You project down into the tournament and how deep these 2 teams could go. Wow, what if they got to the Final Four? Sam mentioned Texas Tech, Shannon. Texas Tech keeps knocking off good teams. Texas Tech came in at number 13 last night. They beat number 9 Oklahoma 57-52. Texas Tech goes to 13-5 on the season. OU drops to 11-5. Tech now 5-4 in the Big 12. And OU now 6-4. And again, as Sam just mentioned, these are 2 more teams in the Big 12 that are very, very good. And it was a pretty good game last night.
Yeah, again, it's all a credit to just how great and tough the Big 12 is to play in. I mean, Oklahoma came off a great win at the SEC Big 12 weekend and prior to that, beating Texas at home.
We got some people making predictions on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Foot Foam 420 says Texas by 6 tonight. We had, I think Wes Perkins says UT wins tonight. Bank on it. So a lot of people very, very confident about UT tonight. And at least they are at full strength. And you mentioned this, and I just want to underscore it. I think it's important. Shaka Smart, who just came off of a COVID-19 diagnosis, he said in that Zoom conversation with the media, he had a significant bout with COVID-19. He says it was not a walk in the park. And Shannon, this continues to be very scary to me when anybody gets it, obviously. I think we're over 447,000 who have lost their lives. We talked about it last week. You had Sekou Smith, an NBA reporter who died at the age of 48. I know a lot of people think the narrative is that mainly elderly people are the ones who succumb from COVID-19, but I mean, you never know. And when a guy like Shaka Smart gets it, it's very, very frightening. And obviously, we pray to God, nobody else dies from it. But when a high-profile sports figure, in this case a coach, in this case Shaka Smart gets it, it's very, very frightening. And apparently, admittedly, he had a rough time with this.
Right. And a lot of people ask questions in regards to tournaments that are, of course, just around the corner. There's a lot of talk about conference tournaments kind of just being useless this year. It's not worth the risk to the coaches and players and health and safety. And Shaka said, we're just trying to listen to the doctors. The hard part is that doctors have conflicting opinions.
Yeah. We'll talk more about tonight's big game. It's probably going to be the game to watch tonight in all of sports. Number 2, Baylor at number 6, Texas at the Frank Irwin Center, 6 o'clock start. We'll get into that. We got lots more to talk about. Jason Witten, newly retired NFL football player, destined for the Hall of Fame. He's got a new gig. Where's he going to be working? We'll talk about that. Speaking of college basketball, Duke loses a game that a lot of people thought they shouldn't have lost last night, and some analysts saying Duke won't even go to the tournament this year. We'll get into that as well and more on Courtside Karen. How can we resist? She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. He's Sam Freese. I'm Chris. Till 9, you're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Josh Hudson saying, God bless the biggest Puma. Triple duty. Love you hard. Very nice. Leo says, Baylor by 20. Then says, yes, I drink. Very nice. All right. I am going to grab some coffee because I can. Because I need it. JC Art is in here. JC Art, I saw you. You did a great artwork on DeMar DeRozan yesterday that I saw. It was very, very cool. All right. I know earlier when Sam was talking, no, I muted my mic trying to avoid that echo. I'll be right back. Wearing my mask, unlike Courtside Karen. Nothing, Karen. Come on, Courtside Karen, wear your mask. You can even get like a diamond-studded mask. You can have a blinky mask. Courtside Karen.
Foot, thank you. I've had this hat for like 12 years. Probably my oldest hat. But it's a good one. Clint Proctor, what do I have to do to get you to wear red and black? I wore red the day after Tech beat Texas. What more do you want from me? I think Baylor gets an early foul trouble tonight. I could see it, especially if we have similar refs like we had against OU. Chris Beard is a UT graduate. It's only right that he comes home.
Clint Proctor says, the reason I give so much hell to Horns fans is every time Beard wins, Horns fans send me pictures and live streams of the building for Beard and tell me the more he wins, the more he's coming to Austin.
He's a UT grad. He's coming home at some point.
I never realized he's a UT grad. Whoa, okay.
That's the real connection.
Ah.
The fact that he's done what he's done with Tech and Shaka has 9 lives. I'm going to show you guys the TikTok I made yesterday because I didn't think it got enough love, and I thought it was a really great joke.
Okay, here we go. Woo!
Oh, hold on. I got because I got the wrong one.
I can't believe you can run TikToks on this. That's so cool.
No, that's the only thing I can think of playing. And they're all me because no one else is here.
Foam Foot 420. I've had, I think, 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th cup of coffee.
I made iced coffee this morning only to not put ice in it and just it was ruined. And our ice machine here is broken because, of course, it is.
Oh, no. That sucks.
All right, here's my amazing joke I did yesterday. Hilarious.
Woo!
I mean,
why does Tom Brady always have such bad hair? He asks for the Super Bowl cut.
Nice. With a rim shot.
I mean, I know you used to be the comedian, but I mean, that's quality content.
That is quality comedy with the visual. It's the straight line. You point to him, you've got the visual, then the punchline, then the rim shot. Boom. That's outstanding. And it's short. It's to the point. It's timely. It's Super Bowl. That was great.
You know what stat I saw today? Because I'm not a huge stat person, but he has never scored a touchdown in the first quarter of any of the Super Bowls he's been in.
That is crazy. I never knew that.
Of those 9 first quarters, his teams have only scored 1 field goal, and that was against the Eagles.
That's insane. I would have never guessed that.
And I don't know if you saw any of his media day yesterday, but he started out by saying, "This is different than the last 9 I've been to."
Yeah, I only saw snippets. I need to.
He bothers me. Gronk's was the best.
What was the takeaway from Gronk?
He was asked about like getting back in shape and getting back in the league, and he said that, you know, because it's all virtual, that he was sending the strength and conditioning coach, he'd just do 2 reps and then like add it over and over again on the video.
Yeah.
And he'd change shirts and then do it again and create a new video, so the next day he wouldn't have to do anything.
That's funny. Laura Burris says that was gold. Shannon, your TikTok.
Thank you.
Now, Wes Perkins, why did Coach Sark go to the bank to get his quarterback? Wow.
Classic.
Wes Perkins. Abran Jesus Lucio says you just changed the narrative now for Brady. And now it's something to watch for. Can they get a touchdown in the first quarter?
Brady is the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Why do you say that?
Well, like the Cowboys couldn't get a touchdown at their first drive at all this season.
Okay, there you go. Now I get it.
Now Brady is just trying to score a touchdown in the first quarter.
Yeah, we're just 5 days out from the Super Bowl. It's getting closer. I got to pimp Drew Pearson on the air today.
Yeah, I'll put up some social later too.
Cool. So now in a perfect world, Drew tomorrow, then Drew gets into the hall on Saturday. Then we'll grab Drew again next week. And then, and maybe I should get James Allen this week, right before those announcements. But then take the show to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in August and see Drew and Jimmy Johnson and Cliff Harris get inducted. Woo! It's on the bucket list. Got to do it.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Groundhog Day, but this Groundhog Day will forever be known as Courtside Karen Day. If you haven't seen Courtside Karen, she's the new star on social media. She's everywhere, but she is not safe for work. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, soundscape stylist Sam Freeze. And if you're not joining us on Facebook Live during the breaks, and actually throughout the show, but you get all kinds of bonus material during the breaks. And we're on Ticket 760's Facebook page. We're on AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook page. We're on a YouTube channel. We're pushing it out on the Twitter accounts. Shannon didn't debut, but replayed, or maybe for the first time on Facebook Live, her TikTok Tom Brady joke, complete with a rim shot, Shannon, which I thought was spectacular. So that was so far the highlight of the morning. I rank your Tom Brady TikTok joke slightly ahead of Courtside Karen's F-bomb laced tirade.
I'll take it.
Woo.
I'll take it. It took me so long to make that because, as you said, there was the little rim shot graphic, and that was part of the filter I was using. And it kept telling me to do it. You just point to the camera. I mean, I was in here flailing my arms for about 15 minutes before I could find the right angle that it liked to get that point and get the rim shot in there. I'm glad people liked it, though. It makes me happy.
For people who want to go find it, your TikTok address, the same as your Twitter address, at Shannon B. Sweeney. Is that correct?
Yep, just my name.
Go find Shannon on TikTok. Find her on Twitter. She's all over the place. Twitter, at Shannon B. Sweeney. Sam Freese is at Biggest Puma on Twitter. I am at Chris Duel. If you want to join us on Twitter. You were talking about yesterday, Media Day. I only saw snippets of it. You saw more than I did. I should have locked in more. I'll try to do that today and get caught up. But Tom Brady speaks with the media via Zoom on Super Bowl Media Day, as does Gronk. What were some of your takeaways as you saw the pretty boy Tom Brady and Gronk yesterday?
Well, Pretty Boy was looking like a pinhead because they had the graphic in the back, like a green screen with the sponsors and such. And for whatever reason, it was like making his head, I don't know, it was like covering his ears. So he looked really, really strange. But the biggest thing was the flex he had to kick things off of, this is so weird. This is unlike anything I've done before. This is nothing like the last 9 Super Bowls I've been to. Like, go ahead and pick that number up off the ground, Tom. You dropped it.
Wow.
You dropped it there. And then the secrets of Gronk getting back in shape, where he took 2 reps in one shirt, changed shirts, did 2 reps in another shirt, and then would create longer videos of those reps to send to his strength and conditioning coach to say, look, I'm working out. I mean, that's the way I would do it.
Yeah. So Gronk kind of going all Mike McCarthy and admitting that what he's portraying isn't really what Mike McCarthy famously said that he lied to Jerry Jones, saying, I watched every single play of the Cowboys season to get hired. Then he got hired and he goes, I was just BSing. I wasn't really. The
difference is Gronk found his way into the Super Bowl, and Mike McCarthy is at home watching the Super Bowl, if he's even doing that.
He better be, for God's sake. Now again, so much happens during the break. This is why you need to join us on the video stream. You had a great, and I wouldn't have, and I've seen every Tom Brady Super Bowl. In fact, I was at the very first one at the Superdome in New Orleans in January of, it was after 2001. So it was January of 2002 when it was Patriots versus the Rams, and the Rams were favored. They were going to win their second straight Super Bowl. It was the greatest show on turf, led by Kurt Warner. But here came the Patriots with this young, relatively unknown dude who had taken over for Drew Bledsoe mid-season, Tom Brady, and they wind up winning on an Adam Vinatieri field goal. But you have a great statistic on those previous 9 Tom Brady Super Bowls that in my memory, I did not remember this. I did not make this connection. It's pretty fascinating. What was it?
Yeah, I've just been looking for Super Bowl stories, and they seem hard to come by this week for whatever reason. But the one I saw today was this amazing stat about Tom Brady in the 9 Super Bowls he has already attended. He has never scored a touchdown in the first quarter of any of his Super Bowl appearances.
Crazy.
And of that, they've only scored 1 field goal, and that was against the Eagles just a couple of years ago.
So in 8 of those 9, the Tom Brady-led Patriots score nothing in the first quarter.
Nothing in the first quarter.
That's wild.
And yet he has how many Super Bowl rings?
6. and counting. Did he wear those for the Zoom thing? Did he hold up his? I mean, it could have been worse.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, he could have really.
Yeah, he could have really been in your face.
It's not like this one or like this one or like that. He's been there all day.
That's hilarious. So we are
something to look out for during this game on Sunday.
We are 5 days out from the Super Bowl. We are going to continue to keep an eye on it. Oh, and I want to mention this tomorrow on the show at 8:35. Drew Pearson, Dallas Cowboys legend, Drew Pearson, going to join us. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. If you're a Cowboys fan, and even if you're not, I hope you're keeping your fingers crossed. Drew Pearson, most people expect that he will get the word on Saturday that he is headed to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We talked about it yesterday. You probably saw it. He had a close call. He got his heart broken, his heart torn out. He was kind of tipped off that he was in a couple of seasons ago, and he had. Is that actual audio, Sam?
To his house because he thought he was going to get in that day. That was some of the raw footage.
I spoke over that. Give that to us one more time.
Can't catch no more damn passes.
Poor Drew. He's such a good guy. And again, yes, he probably shouldn't have invited all of the media to his house a couple of years ago, but God love him. He thought he was in. Somebody said, dude, you're in. And he was excited, and it was long overdue. So,
I wonder if he's still friends with the person who told him that.
Oh, man. It's a good question.
Maybe they are. He just won't get invited to the ceremony when he does get in.
Yeah. And I am hoping, I'm hoping against hope. And I think it's looking good. But again, after he got so burned last time, I don't want to count any chickens until they're hatched. So I'm hoping against hope that by Saturday, we hear that Drew Pearson is on his way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it would be an amazing ceremony in August. Shannon, you've got last year's ceremony, which didn't happen because of COVID. So they're going to do the 2020 inductees and the 2021 inductees. And already from 2020 carrying over, you've got Jimmy Johnson and Cliff Harris of the Dallas Cowboys. So my goodness, if we could add Drew Pearson to that, that would be huge. And as we've talked about, it's on my bucket list. I've never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. So, you and I are toying with the idea of maybe, hopefully, finding a way to take this show to Canton, Ohio in August of 2021, August of this year. And my God, if Drew Pearson is part of the mix, that would be all the more reason.
Yeah, we need everyone to wear their masks so Chris and I can safely go up again, and we need sponsors to start rolling in.
Yeah, sponsors start rolling in. Maybe we can borrow some money from Courtside Karen. Maybe she can kick in some cash and she can be one of our co-hosts. We'll just have to get a 30-second delay whenever she's on. She start heckling. Jimmy Johnson, you suck. Who do you think you are with that hair? Come on, Courtside Karen. Show some respect, for crying out loud. So, by the way, in the last hour, the big ceremony was in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania. Puxatawny Phil, the groundhog, not a muskrat, not a beaver. He's a groundhog. That's official. He did not see his shadow, so we have 6 more weeks of winter. There you have it. Are you excited?
Texas winter, it's okay. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's winter in the morning and spring by the afternoon. I'm okay with it.
Keep it mild. Keep it. I think it's supposed to be like sunny and 66 today. It's supposed to be in San Antonio on Thursday. I looked at the long-term for it. It was supposed to be 81 degrees on Thursday for a high. So I might have to.
Yes, winter.
Might have to do some sunbathing. And yet you have no ice for your iced coffee at the studio. You were in an iced coffee kind of a mood, and it didn't happen today for you.
I was like, I'll make it at home. I've got my new fancy coffee maker. I now have all of the accoutrements to make it, and I skipped on the ice. I don't know what I wasn't thinking. That's what I was thinking. I was not thinking. And was like, oh, we have a giant ice maker in the kitchen here. No ice. No ice, no snacks, no nothing.
You would think you wouldn't have to bring your own ice to work. So, although I do bring my own
frozen
coffee.
Water.
Yeah. See, there's they do have coffee here, but and Tanner Carlson can attest to this, and maybe Sam can. There's I want to be careful here, but I'll just say it. There's a security person here who like cleans out the coffee tanks, the coffee maker, and as Tanner Carlson pointed out to me a few weeks ago, the coffee tasted soapy. There was like still like there was a soapy taste to the coffee, and it was god awful. So I just said, screw it. I am bringing I have a little coffee thermos, so I bring my own damn coffee now, and I heat it up in the microwave, and I pour it in one of these cups, and I heat it up in the microwave. So
yeah, I used to make the station coffee, but there's me and 2 other people here now on a daily basis. So and they don't drink coffee. So I'm not dirtying up the entire machine just for myself.
You have such a skeleton crew. We've got like 7 people in because we have WOAI down the hall,
right?
And then us. So there's like 7. So we're not like 2 where you are. Sam, has the coffee gotten any better? I know you partake of the coffee occasionally here.
The short answer is no. I mean, no.
So what do you do for coffee? Do you just suck it up and drink it here, or do you bring your own in?
Well, I mean, I think I'm a bit of an anomaly when it comes to morning coffee. So like with these doubles, I intentionally don't drink coffee when I'm up here in the morning, and then I stop at my favorite local coffee shop on my way back out here in the afternoon.
Not Dunkin'?
No, a local San Antonio shop.
Now there is a local coffee company here called Local Coffee. Is that where you go, or what's the name of your coffee place of choice?
That's definitely one of them. My wife loves their iced coffee, so anytime I want iced coffee, I go there. But
you're just making Shannon feel worse now. You're bringing up iced coffee.
Yeah. Man,
my mouth is so dry.
I thought I would hate iced coffee. The concept of just the phrase iced coffee sounds like something my grandpa would have ranted about for half an hour making fun of. So
I don't know what to do with my hands today. I don't have an iced coffee to shake on the side during breaks.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Swirl my straw around.
Yeah, it's just something to do with your hands while you're sitting there. But no, I on the east side, I go to a place called Estate Coffee.
Estate Coffee, nice,
pretty good little shop.
Woo! I like plugging good businesses that we frequent. So on the east side of San Antonio,
if you remember when Patty Mills did his coffee drive to help the local battered women's shelter here in San Antonio, they were one of the coffee shops that were on his list as well.
Patty Mills, and by the way, we're going to do the contest here in a sec, but since you brought up Patty Mills, the dude, and he did that, he got together with like 6 or 7 local coffee places during the COVID off season before the bubble in Orlando, and all the money they made on a given day, and it wound up being over $100,000. I forget what the number was, but it was huge. He matched the number to give a donation to the battered women's shelter. And then, oh, by the way, he gave his entire Orlando bubble salary, which was over $1 million, to like 6 or 7 different causes, including Black Lives Matter Australia. Patty Mills puts his money where his mouth is. He's amazing on so many levels. All right. Your chance to make some money right now. We do this throughout the day 12 times at about 20 after the hour, but I tend to be late, but that's the story of my life. It is the grand in your hand. Easy for me to say. The grand in your hand cash contest, and here it is.
Let us give you money. Your chance to win $1,000 is right now. Text the nationwide keyword SMILE to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Once again, that's SMILE to 200-200. Good luck.
Smile is the keyword. And by the way, we continue to do that throughout the day. at about 20 after the hour. So more chances for you to win. My philosophy, somebody wins, throw your name in the hat. It might just be you. So we'll do that at 20 after the hour all the way up until 8:20 tonight and each night during the weekdays. So that's a cool thing. It is Groundhog Day. It is Taco Tuesday. It is Tater Tot Day. I saw that earlier. Oh, and we find out yesterday, Jason Witten has a new gig. Jason Witten. And this, I find this kind of interesting, and I guess maybe we should respect it, Shannon, because when Jason Witten first retired from the Cowboys before he went to the Monday Night Football broadcast booth, word was that Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, his alma mater, was considering him for head coach, which is kind of insane that he had never been a coach on any level or even a coordinator of any kind. And then there was the story when we heard he was retiring this year from the Raiders that he would consider becoming a coordinator or an assistant coach in the NFL, depending on who the coach might be. Instead, we find out that he has taken a gig at a high school in the Dallas area. In fact, apparently at least one of his kids goes there. I think multiple kids go there. Liberty Christian School. He is now head coach of the Liberty Christian School in the Dallas area. Any thoughts on this, Shannon?
I like it. I wonder how much of that was premeditated, right? We know Phillip Rivers had his high school coaching gig before he even finished his NFL career. So I wonder if that was maybe in the works when he was debating whether or not to return to the NFL to play another season. I think it's also the right place for him to start as far as coaching, because Tennessee would have been way too big of a job for him to do, right? We heard about even Sark, who, when he got his first coaching job, he alluded to it at his Texas press conference of he just wasn't ready. He didn't have the ability to let others do their job because he was the head coach and felt like he needed to control everything. And he's learned from that. And I think so. Jason, starting at the high school level, especially a place he's clearly comfortable with his kids going there. I don't know how long it'll last, but it'll be good that he's still in the area and around the Cowboys. And I'm sure we'll get some good box shots of Jason Witten on Sundays this next season.
Yeah, we got to remember to pay attention to the scores from Liberty Christian School, where Jason Witten's going to be the head coach. Can you imagine if you're I think back to when I was a kid, and I was a huge Cowboys fan, and I'm just trying to think of the equivalent. When I was a kid, the tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, one of them was Mike Ditka, who went on to be an assistant coach for Tom Landry, and another tight end was Billy Truax, and later Billy Joe Dupree. But can you imagine you're a high school kid, you're a 16 or a 17-year-old, and you play football for Liberty Christian School, and you find out, oh, by the way, your next head coach is going to be Jason Witten.
Future Hall of Famer Jason Witten.
God, how cool is that?
He still needs to sign his one-day contract, right?
I hear that's going to be in March.
Retire as a Cowboy.
Yeah, that's coming in March, I think, is when they're going to do that.
And I know COVID times, but how awesome would it be if his new little team could watch him do that?
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, if you are the coach of that school, and I mean, what better motivation and what better little fun field trip if you could bring them? As you mentioned, Shannon, COVID's an issue, but my gosh, if you could bring them all out to AT&T Stadium to kind of put their masks on and stand behind you as you retire as a Cowboy there. And, I guess it would be at Frisco where they have those press conferences with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. That would be a cool thing.
Yeah, wow. Just bringing the whole team to a game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Practicing at the Star. I don't know. You're Jason Witten. You can probably do anything you want with the Cowboys.
I would think so. But, I get this feeling, Jason Witten just kind of feels like he's got a future as a football coach. He seems like a fundamental guy. And even though, people mock him for his performance in the Monday Night Football booth, I just still have a feeling that he's one of these guys. We know he's a hard worker. We know he's, just a no-nonsense guy, by all accounts, he was a leader in the locker room. I just get the feeling, and you just said it, Shannon. Who knows how long he's going to stay at Liberty Christian High School and be a coach before he goes either into the college ranks or becomes a professional assistant. But I just have a feeling he's going to make noise as a football coach and maybe be a big-time head coach one day.
I hope so. I'm excited for him and especially those kids.
Someday, maybe he'll replace Mike McCarthy. And maybe that'll be sooner than later. I don't know. Mike McCarthy may not be long for this world if he doesn't turn the Cowboys around pretty darn quickly. All right. We will talk more Texas versus Baylor. It's the big basketball game tonight, more Super Bowl. And we can't talk enough courtside Karen this morning. Sam Freese is your Soundscape stylist. We're streaming live video on Facebook Live, Ticket 760, AM 1300 The Zone. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. All right. Leo says it's freezing outside. You're listening to the Chris Bernard Trefan with an iced coffee video. John Williams, happy Groundhog Day. Carl Fisher. Wes says Thursday sounds like a great golf day. I'll be stuck inside all day. Bernard posting Shannon's TikTok, or plural TikToks.
Oh, the podcast one? I can throw that one up there. Genesis is going back on tour.
Who is?
Phil Collins was. Carl says Genesis is going back on tour. I thought Phil Collins was not performing at all anymore. I thought his health was in decline.
He, you may know this. He's a big history buff, and he's a big fan of the Alamo. So he comes occasionally to the Alamo. And a few years ago,
when I worked for the Senate, he received an award or something.
Yeah. He had a huge private collection of like Alamo artifacts that he collected over the years. And then he donated them to the Alamo, to the daughters of the Republic of Texas, whoever they are, who curate the Alamo. So I just find that fascinating that, a Brit would love the Alamo's history that much. And a rocker who we've heard of.
Right. All right, Bernard, here's that TikTok you were referring to.
Just because you can talk about a subject for more than 5 minutes does not mean you need to start a podcast. The world doesn't need to hear about it. Just call a friend, have a conversation, hang up, and never speak of it ever again.
Very funny.
Just because you can talk about a subject for more than 5 minutes does not mean you need to start a podcast. The world doesn't need to hear about it. Just call a friend, have a conversation, hang up, and never speak of it ever again.
Very funny.
No hate to people who start podcasts, but they're kind of becoming the new blog. And I get everyone's bored at home.
Gordon Weedman, who is a rock and roller himself, says Phil Collins cannot play drums due to health complications. His son will play drums on the tour. There you go.
That's the Tarzan soundtrack. I know that's just Phil, but I still listen to that. And I think it has a lot of songs that really kind of reflect what the world is right now.
Wow.
Two Worlds. It's a fantastic song.
I will have to check out the Tarzan soundtrack.
You ready for Super Bowl commercials?
I probably will do sports history here. And then birthdays.
John, I love Super Bowl commercials. I just don't like how they're all coming out in advance now. So I've tried to avoid them so far.
Yeah. That is kind of weird.
Sam, I'm going to ATX Cocina this evening for some tacos. It's the restaurant that Nick Foles owns with his dad.
Nice.
So I will have tacos today.
Woo! Nick Foles tacos.
Tastes like victory.
We might have to talk, since they're Nick Foles tacos, we might have to talk about those on the air.
Do you know about his dad, Larry?
I do not.
So his dad is like the restaurant mastermind in Austin. He started Z Tejas. He still owns Roaring Fork, Sway. He started Cover 3 with his former GMs of Z Tejas. He's had his hand in like helping Jack Allen. He's the man.
Unbelievable. I never knew that.
Nick, and then Nick got in on I think ATX Cocina is their newest establishment, so that's why Nick got in on that.
Chris Duel Show, welcome back on a Taco Tuesday, on Groundhog Day, on a day that courtside Karen has emerged in the national consciousness. Sam Tobias posting on Facebook Live as we stream live video on Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook pages. Sam Tobias is saying it is, and I just lost it. There it is. It's hashtag Taco Tuesday. It's your civic responsibility and due diligence to consume as many tacos as possible today. And Shannon, you just revealed on video during the break that you are going to ingest tacos at an establishment that has a connection to a quarterback who won a Super Bowl and defeated Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yes, Mr. Nick Foles owns ATX Cocina here in downtown Austin with his dad, Larry. And Austinites know Larry Foles has had his hand in many Austin restaurants that we know and love, even one in San Antonio. He is good buddies with the guys that own that River 3. So you can't miss when you go to the Larry establishment here in Austin. Yeah, tacos on a Tuesday. I'm going to ATX Cocina. I got some family coming in. I ordered a kitchen table from Houston, so they're driving it in and hopefully going to put it together for me. So we're taking them for some tacos later.
Very nice. So ATX Cocina owned by Larry and Nick Foles, or Nick Foles, or how does that work?
I think Nick is just invested in it.
Okay. And
you won't see him busting tables or anything.
You won't, yeah. But they've got great tacos, according to you.
Great tacos, great tamales, and a wide variety of margaritas.
Ooh.
That make you think, do I want to drink that? And then you do it and you're like, oh, this is amazing.
Very, very nice. ATX Cocina. I've got to check that out next time I'm in Austin. Very, very cool. Well, let's do, today is Groundhog Day. It is Taco Tuesday. They also tell me it is Tater Tot Day, Tuesday, February 2nd. Let's take a look at what happened on this day in sports history. On this day in sports history, 1913, the New York Football Giants signed athlete Jim Thorpe. He was pretty good. On this day in 1949, golfing champion Ben Hogan is seriously injured in a car accident. On this day in 1959, Vince Lombardi signs a 5-year contract to become the coach of the Green Bay Packers. That kind of worked out for both parties. He was pretty good. And we'll talk more about this in a second. On this day in 1970, Pete Maravich of LSU becomes the first player to score 3,000 points in college basketball. More on Pete Maravich in a second because he was absolutely amazing. On this day in 1975, U.S. female figure skating champion Dorothy Hamill wins the U.S. figure skating championship. She was a big deal and a big Olympian. This day in 1997, Scotty Bowman becomes the first coach in NHL history to win 1,000 games. And on this day in 2020, when we kind of heard of this coronavirus in Wuhan, China, but we didn't think that much about it, they played a Super Bowl. Super Bowl 54 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. And the Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers 31-20. Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable player. It is the Chiefs' first Super Bowl victory in 50 years, dating back to Super Bowl IV in 1970. I hear that Patrick Mahomes kid is pretty good, Shannon. I hear he's
an up-and-comer.
Up and comer. Yeah. I mentioned Pete Maravich, and today was the day back in sports history where he scored 3,000 points. He is the all-time scoring average leader in college basketball. Nobody is even close. Pete Maravich averaged 44.2 points per game in college basketball.
How is that even possible?
The next closest is a guy named Freeman Williams out of Portland State, played in the 70s, averaged 30.7. So from 44.2, Pete Maravich, to 30.7, and then you drop off to 24.8, Chris Clemens. The names that you've heard of, Doug McDermott at Creighton averaged 21.7. Oscar Robertson at Cincinnati, 33.8. No, I'm wrong, 25.5. Larry Bird at Indiana State. Larry Bird averaged 30.3, 44.2. And I was talking to Charlie Parker in the hallways. He does the news over on 1200 WOAI in San Antonio. 44.2 for Pete Maravich from 1967 to 1970. And a lot of us don't even factor this in. There was no three-point shot. So, now if somebody had like this crazy average, you'd go, well, okay, dude shoots a lot of three-point shots. There was no three-point shot in the late 1960s. I can't even imagine what it must have been like watching a game with that dude.
Well, he must have just not had any Karens sitting courtside to throw him off. He was making everything he put up.
Yeah, no courtside Karen. So Sam Freese, you appreciate some hoops. Pete Maravich, dude, not too shabby at 44.2 points per game.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the absolutely insane records when it comes to sports. I mean, there's no chance in my lifetime I'll ever see that or ever even see anybody on pace to break that. I mean, because even if you take away, like you said, the fact didn't have a 3-point line, there wasn't a shot clock in the game, so possessions weren't as fluid as they are now. Couldn't play as a freshman because freshmen weren't allowed to play. So you take all of those things into consideration and then look at those numbers, it's just even more insane. But if you actually look at the way he scored the points, it's not nearly as impressive as if you just hear the word a dude averaged 44 points. If you just hear that phrase, that sounds insane.
Yeah.
He attempted 38 shots a game. He averaged for his college career 38 shots a game and only shot like 44%.
Wow.
So he was absolutely just chunking shots up left and right. I mean, 38, that's more attempts than basically a shot a minute when he's on the court. And looking, something I didn't realize, and again, talking to Charlie about this this morning, he was averaging, 14 free throws a game for a guard in the 70s or in college in the late 60s.
Yeah.
That feels like that just feels like that's unheard of for a guard to be attempting. Because, that was, you would see, you'd see Wilt attempting, averaging 20 free throws a game in the pros. But I can't ever remember seeing a guard from that era shoot that many free throws. I mean, just an absolutely insane career stat line when you actually go look at it, attribute by attribute. Just none of it makes sense, and then it all somehow makes sense whenever you see the whole big picture. And hell, just watching some of the old tapes of him playing. The dude basically was playing like a modern YMCA style, pickup game. Just around the back on every drive, between a modern player, way ahead of his time.
And back in Maravich's time, Pete Maravich at LSU from 1967 to 1970, couple of things. Number one, could not play as a freshman. Back then, freshmen were not allowed to play. So you had to go play on a freshman team. So on the freshman team, Pete Maravich scored 741 points on the freshman team. So for LSU, he scored 3,667 points. Again, as we mentioned, there was no three-point line. And as you mentioned, Sam, there was no shot clock. So, that's all the more reason why it's just absolutely insane that this guy scored what he scored. He went on to the NBA, played first with the Atlanta Hawks, then with the New Orleans Jazz, which became the Utah Jazz. He finished up his career one season with the Boston Celtics, wound up being a 5-time NBA All-Star. And I remember, and you can go find it on YouTube. They used to do this fun thing like at halftime of NBA games where they'd have two players playing horse. You can go find there's a YouTube of Pete Maravich playing horse with George Gervin, which is kind of fun from like 1980 or something. So Pete Maravich was just absolutely unbelievable. 44.7 points per game.
Wasn't the most efficient 44 a game, but good Lord, is that still impressive.
Absolutely. Not a lot of birthdays today in the world of sports, but we'll go ahead and look at them anyway. Let's take a look at sports birthdays on this day, February 2nd. One big for Spurs fans and one big for the NFL. Born on this day in 1895, George Halas, known as Papa Bear George Halas, significant in founding the NFL. 1895. Born on this day in 1968, and I saw they were celebrating his birthday on the Spurs broadcast last night. We haven't even talked Spurs yet, and it's going to be painful to talk Spurs after last night. Sean Elliott. Happy birthday, Spurs legend. His number 32 hangs in the rafters at the AT&T Center. Sean Elliott, born on this day in 1968. Those are pretty much the only two big sports birthdays. Celebrity birthday, Shakira has a birthday today. Shakira is 44. Is that official Shakira audio?
From the Super Bowl.
Nice. And it would have been Farrah Fawcett's birthday. Actress Farrah Fawcett was born in 1947. She died in 2009. There you have it. Shannon, are you impressed by Pete Maravich's 44-plus points per game?
I am. I still, it's so hard to believe and take that in because it's just so unattainable today.
Yeah. I got to, as Sam described, I got to go back and find some YouTube and go look at them and just see that because it's so crazy. But Bernard Trefan posting the Pete Maravich versus George Gervin horse competition on Facebook Live. You can go find that on YouTube. Which is very, very cool.
Is that where the NBA got the idea this summer to do the horse?
I think they did, and it was
was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. But when your superstars do it, it can be fun. So,
I mean, Trae Young doesn't have his own court, which is fine. You don't need your own. There's not a rule. If you're going to play in the NBA, you have to have your own court. But he didn't even have like a ground hoop. I mean, it was like with the sand holding it down. He didn't have markings on the like drawn out. I think he used tape so that if he took a 3-pointer, I forget who he was playing against, maybe Chauncey Billups or something.
Yeah,
that he was on his actual court at his house where there was lines, and so it was bad. There's a reason they stopped that.
Yeah,
before it got too deep.
I'm not sure it was the players' personal setups because I'm sitting here watching the YouTube of Pistol Pete versus Iceman. They're playing it in the same gym in their official jerseys. Like it's as official and sanctioned as you could get, and it's boring as hell. I mean, I think it's the game of horse. I think that's what we're discovering live here. Like unless you're the one playing horse. I think horse is an extremely boring game to watch. And
I'd rather watch Knockout or something.
Exactly. Yeah, Knockout at least something more active. I just watched the first minute of this clip, and I mean, like Pistol Pete's laying on the ground shooting a shot at one point. Like it's just not captivating, entertaining television. I think that's the bigger takeaway here.
And yet, I remember being a kid watching it live, and they would like do it at halftime. So there'd be an NBA game on the weekend, and at halftime you'd see, all right, halftime, and it was a tournament. So you started with like 32 or 64 players, and they narrowed it down to a champion. But granted, I was a kid, and it was a much less sophisticated time. You only had 3 TV networks, and it was before you ever had like a sports network, like either ESPN or Fox Sports. And I guess because they were in their uniforms. George Gervin is in his San Antonio Spurs uniform, and Pistol Pete Maravich is in his Utah Jazz uniform, I guess New Orleans Jazz at the time. But I mean, at the time, I thought it was cool. And at the time, the Spurs were kind of not that far removed from the ABA. So it was still kind of novel to see Gervin going up against Pete Maravich, in this case in a horse competition. But yeah, I now in the 21st century, with so many other sports entertainment choices, diversions, including TikTok and Shannon's videos on TikTok, it is kind of boring. So
y'all got to get on TikTok.
I will admit that. I do. I mean, I'm on TikTok. I just haven't done a TikTok video. Sam Freeze, are you on TikTok? I know we've asked you that before, but have you succumbed? I mean, you won't even watch Courtside Karen, so I doubt that you'll watch any TikTok.
Yeah, that's a big negatory on that front.
Giannis is great on there. Tyreek Hill is on there, and he's not even verified. I just randomly came across him yesterday.
How is Tyreek Hill not verified?
I don't know. Maybe because his username, I think it's something strange. So they're like, "Is this really you?" But he's always posting TikToks.
And I would imagine now with the Super Bowl, there's got to be a lot of, behind the scenes Super Bowl stuff.
Y'all got to get in on this.
I know.
It's the hottest thing. It's like GameStop stock.
I got to do it. Did you get in on the GameStop stock?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not responsible enough to be partaking in those.
I am not a Robin Hood. I'm not a Robin Hood investor. So
I wasn't until this last week.
So
how's that going for you?
Are you intrigued now? Are you serious? Are you doing it?
Well, I mean, I owned stocks to begin with, but nothing day trading or anything like Robinhood. But yeah, I mean, that definitely dabbled last week. Had a little fun with it.
So are you now hooked? Is this now a new thing for you? Are you going to start day trading?
No, absolutely not. But if there is the next angry mob that wants to launch a proletarian attack on Wall Street, yeah, I will absolutely do my part on Robinhood.
It was kind of fascinating how they kind of pulled that off and made that happen. And then you had, all of the Wall Street investors with their backlash wanting to shut down the little guy.
Oh, it was amazing.
Keep that from happening.
Yeah, I mean taking the rules for others and making them work for you. I mean, what's not to like about that? I mean, there's nothing more American than finding a loophole like that.
Amen. And then they close that loophole just as quick as they can.
But only for us, the little guys.
Yes.
Just remember that.
Yeah, if we could just become big guys, if we could just become the 1%, man, we'd have it made in this country. We'll have to work on that. Coming up, we got to talk more about the Super Bowl, and we will. We've got to talk more about tonight's big game in college basketball. Number 2, Baylor at number 6, Texas at the Frank Irwin Center. We will get into that as well. Everything going on in the world of sports. Got to talk a little Spurs. It got really, really ugly for the Spurs last night. Bill Schoening, the voice of the Spurs, is going to join us tomorrow along with Drew Pearson. Don't go anywhere. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up on the Chris Duel Show. Good morning, Beth Settle. Welcome in. Neff Ozuna says the Pistol Pete movie was good. I'm unaware of the Pistol Pete movie. Yep. Hashtag courtside Karen still trending. LeBron James on the altercation, quote, I love the fans, but I don't take that kind of talk from anybody. There is a line that should never be crossed. She came at me with blatant disrespect, so I told them to sit their ass down. I thought I was talking to a father and a daughter until she started calling him husband. I was stunned. Funny. Dean Stone says goat versus llama is going to be a good one. Leo Zambrano says, I'm starting my made-for-TV Netflix Hulu Prime story about Ticket 760. Need to rename Chris Duel. Why do you need to rename me? Sam Tobias says, I said this on the YouTube feed, but I think it's going to be a close game between Texas and Baylor. I think Baylor wins by 3. John is telling me to check my Facebook Live. You gave me a happy Groundhog Day. Yeah, I knew the story about Lamar Hunt and his kid was playing with a Super Ball. So he gave the name Super Bowl to the Super Bowl. I know that story. For legal reasons. Thank you. Mike Taylor is now Ralph Martin. Okay. Very interesting, Leo. Oh! The caffeine is not fully kicked in. There was a Spurs game last night. So I work the Spurs broadcasts. And Shannon and Sam can probably attest to this. And any job you do, you can, when you work at night and you get home, I can't just snap, go right to sleep. Although I have some melatonin chewables that I took to try to help me. But inevitably, I get home and I'm kind of wired, so I don't fall right asleep. So consequently, the morning after a Spurs game night, I am pretty tired. I didn't sleep much last night. I am in dire need of a nap. John Williams says, I need a Monster energy drink. See, and then, but here's the flip side of that. So I come in here and I drink a lot of coffee, but then I get home and I need a nap, and I've been guzzling coffee, so it's hard for me to nap. It's a vicious cycle. But at least I use hand sanitizer. especially in the workplace. Let me see. Take a look at other sports stories. Dean Stone says The Night Stalker on Netflix is a darn good watch. Yeah, Dean, I talked about that. I was living in Southern California when the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, was killing people. I had a very interesting experience where I nearly shot somebody in the middle of the night because I thought somebody was breaking into the place I was staying. I told that story here a couple of weeks ago when that came out on Netflix. Sam Tobias said, I have the same problem when I used to work super late and then super early at HEB. Yeah. Okay, thanks. We are 10 seconds out. Was Richard Ramirez originally from Texas? I forgot that, if that's true. Says Leo Zambrano.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
El Paso, the pride of El Paso, Richard Ramirez.
Duel.
Happy Groundhog Day. Happy Courtside Karen Day. Happy Taco Tuesday. It's also Tater Tot Day. Believe it or not. True story. Welcome in, 8 o'clock hour. It's the Chris Duel Show. I'm Chris Duel, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, soundscape stylist Sam Freese. If you are watching us on Facebook Live or on YouTube or accessing the links via Twitter on Ticket 760 and AM 1300, The Zone's Facebook pages, Shannon Salty Sweeney wearing her Texas Longhorns burnt orange warm-up jacket and your plaid Texas Longhorns baseball cap. That's a very stylish Longhorns baseball cap you got going on.
Thank you. It's 12 years old now, so it's very worn in, but it's one of my favorites.
A 12-year-old Longhorns cap. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's got character.
Yeah, it's going to be a classic someday.
Very, very cool. Is it lucky? I mean, do you wear it during certain Longhorn, like tonight, Longhorns versus Baylor? Will you be wearing that cap during the game tonight?
I can't say it's lucky because it's seen a lot of Red River shootouts and many Texas games that just didn't go our way. But it's comfortable.
There you go.
And I think I look great in it.
Very good.
But our poll question, I think some Texas fans have joined in voting because they have brought up their percentage a little bit, 55%. However, still believe Baylor will get this win tonight over Texas, who's sitting at almost 45% of the vote.
So 55 to 45 among our voters say Baylor's going to win, which
that's where I am.
Yeah.
If we win, I knew it all along. Texas, hooray, we did it. It's like I'm on the floor with you. I helped out. You're welcome. But I'm not going to be surprised if Baylor wins this one.
Yeah, going to be very, very interesting. And of course, we started the show and I watched the video for the first time during one of the breaks in the 6 o'clock hour, and it is laden with F-bombs, but she is trending. Courtside Karen, a woman who was courtside with her husband. Her real name is Juliana Carlos. She's about 25. She has a much older husband named Chris Carlos, sitting front row in Atlanta as the Hawks hosted the LA Lakers last night. She heckles LeBron James. LeBron had a great comment, regarding her age. LeBron said, quote, "I love the fans, but I don't take that kind of talk from anybody. There is a line that should never be crossed. She came at me with blatant disrespect, so I told them to sit their ass down. I thought I was talking to a father and his daughter until she started calling him her husband. I was stunned." That's pretty funny, right? LeBron thought that was his daughter.
Maybe that's what got her really upset, was the fact that he thought that. But how could you not?
Yes.
How could you not?
You're a trophy wife.
Look at yourself. If you can get past the bling that's reflecting off the mirror.
You're a real housewife of Atlanta or wannabe. I love Sam Freese's conspiracy theory that this was really her audition tape for Real Housewives of Atlanta. I mean, she obviously, hubby, Chris Carlos, front row at the Hawks game. He's got some cash or he wouldn't be there front row. And looking at her, looking at courtside Karen, a.k.a. Juliana Carlos. I mean, she looks straight out of Central Casting, a woman who would be a Real Housewife of Atlanta. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, if the producers of that show haven't contacted her, let's see, it's 9:10 in Atlanta. If they haven't contacted her yet, they are absolutely failing at their jobs. She should be first call of this morning to try to line up some maybe a cameo appearance just to see, test the waters, see how she rates with the audience, because
it's a ready-made episode.
Oh God, yeah.
And you get NBA. I'd tune in if you tell me it's going to be a special episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta with courtside Karen with behind-the-scenes footage from that night when the Lakers played Atlanta. Heck yeah. It's brilliant. Expand that audience.
It's a great theory.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, the more I am absolutely certain that it was just a big publicity ploy. I mean, it just makes way too much sense the more we talk about it.
I know LA doesn't allowing fans, but how great would it be if she just showed up in LA sitting courtside?
That would be brilliant. Or
the
like
Hawks are in town.
The first night they allow fans, she finds a way to be there. Wow. It went better for courtside Karen, even though she and her husband were ejected in the fourth quarter. And now she's all of a sudden an internet sensation. And as Sam mentions, and I agree, it'll be interesting to watch that Real Housewives of Atlanta, the producers will probably be seeking her out if they haven't already this morning. Did not go as well for the San Antonio Spurs last night. The Spurs lose their second in a row to the Memphis Grizzlies at home at the AT&T Center. This one was a blowout, 133 to 102. it's so amazing, Shannon. You know, on Friday night, the Spurs had beaten the Denver Nuggets. Coming off of a win at home over the Boston Celtics, the Spurs had beaten two quality opponents in a row, and there were already beginning to be some national media people writing stories about, hey, is it time we pay more attention to the San Antonio Spurs? And now, twice in a row, they lay an egg against the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies have had players out with corona issues like Jonas Valanciunas and others. I mean, they had John Morant. They held him to 13 points last night, but all of a sudden, after for a moment, and then Friday night when they beat the Nuggets, they were number 4 for a moment in the Western Conference. Now they've fallen like a rock to the bottom of the standings because so many of those teams were bunched up together. Things not looking good in Spurs land, at least for the last 2 games.
Listen, I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for you 1 second because the Mavs are on a 6-game losing streak. Okay, so I will take 2 losses in a row any day versus where the Mavs are right now, which just seems like they're out in the middle of nowhere they just don't have an answer. Even the players are like, we just don't know, and they're struggling from everything that could go wrong for the Mavs right now is going wrong. At first, they kind of had that COVID thing in the back of their pocket. Oh, once we get everyone back, we'll be okay. Not anymore. It's going horribly. And for the Spurs, I think they'll pick it up. I mean, they play the Timberwolves next. They are last place in the West. So I would think that they end that 2-loss losing streak and get back on the right side of things.
If they don't, I'm looking, the Timberwolves are 1-8 on the road.
Yeah, if they don't, then we can really start to panic.
Yeah, Timberwolves are worst in the Western Conference and tied for worst in the league at percentage 250. The worst 3 teams in the league are the Detroit Pistons, the Washington Wizards, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, yeah, it's Wednesday night. Timberwolves come to San Antonio. It's the 5th game of a 5-game homestand. Spurs now 2-2 on this homestand. So, but yeah, you and Sam is a Mavericks fan as well, as we know. That is a head scratcher. What do you attribute the 6-game losing streak for the Dallas Mavericks?
I'm like the players. I don't have an answer. This is unbelievable. They lose one, you think, oh, we'll get the next one. They lose another, oh, we'll get the next one. Now we're 6 games deep in this, and I don't see how they claw themselves out. It's amazing that they're not last. Thank you to the Timberwolves for holding that spot for us because I definitely don't want to be last place in the Western Conference, much less the league.
Well, and the Spurs from Friday, when they were at number 4, they have now fallen to number 10. And so Portland now holds the 8th slot. Houston Rockets are now percentage points ahead of the Spurs. So, God, it just got really bad really quickly. Best team in the Western Conference now, the Clippers and our good buddy Kawhi Leonard. And at 16-5, Clippers now have not only the best record in the Western Conference, they've got the best record in the NBA. Best team in the East is the Philadelphia 76ers at 15-6. And the Lakers with the win last night over Atlanta, or was that a loss to Atlanta? No, they beat Atlanta.
They won.
Yeah. So the Utah Jazz had a 10-game win streak and then lost. So the Jazz now in the number 2 slot in the Western Conference. Lakers at 3rd. And the Nuggets, who the Spurs beat on Friday night, they're now in the 4th slot, which the Spurs occupied for one night. So that's a little rough. Oh, well. It is what it is.
It's rough. I mean, to think that, where's Houston in this?
Houston now moved ahead of the Spurs by percentage points. Houston has now won 6 in a row. And they lost.
It's not right.
They lose everybody. Russell Westbrook wants out. James Harden wants out. So, yeah, the Rockets are now the best team in Texas. It's the Rockets, then the Spurs, then the Mavericks. And obviously, with the Rockets losing Harden and Westbrook, you would have thought the Rockets would be the worst. They're the best. And you would have thought coming in, the Dallas Mavericks would easily be the best team of the 3 in Texas. And as you mentioned, they're falling like a rock at a 6-game losing streak.
there's no answer for any of this. Other than that, something is just wrong within the world and it needs to be fixed.
Up is down and down is up. Who is next for the Mavericks? I'll pull their schedule up to see who's next for them. Let's see.
It's Atlanta tomorrow night, I think.
Are we at Atlanta?
Yeah, oh God, yes.
Courtside Karen. Don't rile her, Luca. Going to be interesting to see if the Hawks do anything about courtside.
I don't know what channel that's on, but they need to make sure that's primetime television.
She's a piece of work. She's going to probably keep it going. See how that continues to play out with her.
I'd love for her to go at Luca or Porzingis, who can barely speak English, and just see what she gets back.
So Major League Baseball, a little bit of a development that has happened there as well. The Major League Baseball Players Association rejected the proposal for a delayed start and a 154-game regular season. So I guess at the moment, Major League Baseball going to start on time and go with a 162-game regular season. And this is kind of interesting because we continue to have coronavirus issues all over the place. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays itself out with Major League Baseball.
It feels like we're about to repeat ourselves here with what baseball went through last year. They're starting the conversation a little earlier this time of this push and shove, give and take, owners versus players. Because I think the big issue for players with that 154-game streak was that, and they were going to be playing more games in a shorter amount of time.
Yes,
and they were still going to get their pay and everything, but they want to start on time, and the owners clearly want to get in as many games as they can, just for money, and in hopes that fans will be able to make it into the stands. But it's starting to feel like, once again, arguments and conversations that should be had behind closed doors, and no one comes out until a resolution has been reached. We're already getting it out in the public eye, and one's being put out, the other's coming back saying no, and we're going to go back and forth until finally, and who knows when, something will be decided on.
Well, as you mentioned last year, notoriously, baseball, as you said, the arguments went back and forth, and they wound up pushing it way back into the summer, into the 50-game schedule. And it was really, I think, a missed opportunity for baseball to come back even earlier than that at a time when everybody was locked down with the coronavirus. And, baseball just fought and delayed and didn't get going until we were seemingly in midsummer by the time they did.
Yeah, it was a huge missed opportunity, and you think they would learn from those mistakes, and maybe they have, and why they started these conversations a little earlier this go around. But clearly, there's still larger hands at play here who want the season to go off without a hitch and get things right from the jump, but it's clearly just not happening already.
So we'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on Major League Baseball. Of course, it is Super Bowl week, and we get closer. Had a couple of COVID issues, although head coach Andy Reid didn't seem that concerned. You had the backup center and one of the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs out, and they didn't directly have COVID or anything like that, but some contact tracing and exposure. If these players, I think they're going to have 5. If they have 5 positive tests, they can still play in the Super Bowl. But I got to believe the NFL is still kind of walking on eggshells and keeping its fingers crossed here, hoping that there's no major COVID issue here as we head towards Sunday's Super Bowl.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything crazy yet come out of Tampa, where, of course, fans will be getting together for the Super Bowl. And I think, is everyone going to be vaccinated, or is it just the handful of healthcare workers that are going?
I know that was the stipulation for the healthcare workers, but I don't know specifically on everybody who's going to be admitted. And I understand it's at Raymond James Stadium, it's 30% of capacity. It's going to be weird.
Well, you know that Kansas has not made the trip down to Florida yet, so it's not like that tracing goes back anywhere to Tampa. But you feel for those guys. You really hope that they get, the right test in their favor, because you would hate to go the entire season and then get knocked out at the very end and have to watch your team play in a Super Bowl in another state while you are stuck at home in quarantine.
And God forbid that it's a major impact player on either team. Obviously, the first two players we think about are Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but both of them with so many key players, certainly offensively, but also defensively. I think all of us just hope that both teams are going to be fine and at full strength. You talked, Shannon, about Tom Brady and his media availability. One of the things that came up was the fact that Tom Brady has said, and I've talked about this a lot, that he wants to play until he's 45. He even said yesterday in the press availability that he's open to playing beyond 45. So God knows if he continues to play at a high level, how long Tom Brady might keep playing. And for you, Shannon, who is sick and tired of Tom Brady, this movie might continue for another several seasons.
It's like he's doing it on purpose. It's like he hears me, he sees me, he's doing it on purpose at this point. We're going to have to expand the league to allow other players to come in and play, because no one's getting to play because old people like Tom Brady won't leave.
See, you need to just do what I did. You need to embrace it. You need to go, you know what? That's kind of novel. I mean, he's not broken down like Drew Brees is and like most players are by the time. I saw this. Someone made the point. The average Hall of Fame quarterback who is in the Hall of Fame right now has retired by the age of 38. The average retirement age for a Hall of Fame quarterback is 38. Tom Brady's now 43. Tom Brady's gone to like 2 more Super Bowls and won one since most Hall of Fame quarterbacks have retired. I think you need to just embrace the Tom Brady story and just go with it.
The second he retires, I will be the biggest Tom Brady fan there is. Congratulations, you did it. Greatest player of all time. What a career. What a run. Can't wait for you to get your golden jacket. But for now, just go eat grass and get out of my face. That's what I'm sure he's in one of those bubbles this week, just walking around in a bubble so that he doesn't get taken out.
I saw some story on him where his family left the house. So
oh my God.
Giselle, because they knew Tom wanted to focus only on this game. So Giselle took the kids and they went somewhere else. So Tom Brady at his home, and is it A-Rod's old home?
I was going to say, it's like not A-Rod, number 2, is it? Number 2? Jeter. Yeah, Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter
yeah.
And my A-Rod.
Yeah, the Yankees, whatever. But that's ridiculous. There's like an east wing and a west wing of that house. Just put them in another wing. You don't have to see them.
Yeah, you could just go the whole week and not see them, and they could live in the other wing. So, all right. We will talk more about not only the Super Bowl, but the big one tonight. And we'll check the voting on the poll. The big sporting event tonight is in Austin at the Frank Irwin Center as the number 2 team in the land, 16-0 Baylor, taking on the Texas Longhorns tonight. Number 2 versus number 6. We'll dive back into that one. Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow this morning in the big old ceremony as the snow was falling in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. So 6 more weeks of winter, if you believe in things like that. But courtside Karen did see her shadow as she and her husband were ejected for heckling LeBron James last night in the Hawks-Lakers game. We will get into everything that we should be getting into in the world of sports. Oh, Vince Young has a gig again. We'll get into that. Vince Young is back at it. That and more coming up. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Yeah, Leo, you are correct on George Blanda. All right. I am going to grab some water. I'll be back in about 90 seconds. Woo! I'll be right back. But mask. Science. take a look at it. Because there's one that, for whatever the reason, it's like 5 times the speed. And if not, let me know, and I'll just do the story without it, which is fine, too.
Oh, no, we'll have something.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll come in and do this story with a nominee for Super Freak of the Week.
Is it Courtside Karen?
It's not Courtside Karen. It is, one sec, I'll pull it up. Ex-New York Mets manager and current Angels pitching coach, Mickey Callaway, accused of 5 women of inappropriate behavior, including sending them shirtless photographs and requesting nude photos of them and other advances. How many? I mean, this just keeps coming up. Guys keep doing this.
Especially guys with ties to the Mets.
Yeah. At least no report of him sending junk pics. So could be worse. All right. I also have an interesting take on Twitter that says Courtside Karen shouldn't have been ejected if she didn't say anything racial. There's another Courtside Karen take. Yolanda. Welcome back. It is the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, who is bedecked in her Longhorns gear, including her 12-year-old Longhorn plaid baseball cap, as she's ready for tonight's big game. It is the event, and not just in Texas. I think nationally. It's on ESPN at 6. In San Antonio, we've got it on Ticket 760 for you. I think the nation is going to be very, very interested to see number 2 Baylor coming into Austin to the Frank Irwin Center, taking on number 6 Texas. Both teams at full strength. Speaking of the Longhorns, we got an item about Vince Young that we will react to. I got a tweet about Courtside Karen and her ejection along with her husband from the Hawks-Lakers game last night. But first, once again, and we do this as a public service, we like to nominate when we see one out there, and they seem to keep showing up in the world of sports, a nominee for Super Freak of the Week. Thank you, Rick James. By the way, yesterday was Rick James' birthday. I feel so bad. I did not, on this show, commemorate the birth of an American icon.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
And a rock and roll super freak, Rick James. God bless the late, great Rick James. He is my spirit animal, by the way. Former New York Mets manager and current, at least as of this morning, Los Angeles Angels pitching coach, Mickey Callaway, receives a nomination for Super Freak of the Week Shannon and Sam, he has been accused by not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 women of inappropriate behavior that included sending shirtless photographs. I think that it could be worse than shirtless photographs. We could talk about that. And a request for nude photos from the women and other advances, according to a report by The Athletic that was published last night. There are more details, but this seems to happen like every week in sports. Somebody gets in trouble behaving usually they either work for the Washington football team or the New York Mets, and they usually send inappropriate photos to women. At least in Mickey Callaway's case, these are shirtless photos. Often men send photos of other things that are even more offensive if you haven't asked for them. But Shannon, if a man sent you a shirtless photo, would you be very, very offended by that? Would you have to file a complaint on that dude?
If it was just one, I'd probably just delete it and forget about it. If stuff kept coming, then we'd have a problem. Yeah. It's interesting that he's in baseball. I think he's just trying to get his batting average up by sending things out to multiple women, because I guess the theory is that if you send it to enough, maybe one will respond in a way that you're hoping. Which is so stupid when you think about the context of which it is in. And to do it that way. Why?
And this story happens like every couple of weeks. And when are guys going to realize, unless a woman says, hey, baby, please send me a shirtless photo, or please send me a photo of this. And first of all, you probably shouldn't send it, because that'll then have a life of its own. Mickey Callaway, former Mets manager, and at the moment, pitching coach of the LA Angels, by midday today, and usually this is the way it happens with this show, Shannon. He'll be fired at 9:10 this morning. It's 8:40 right now.
Yeah, he's probably waiting outside the office right now.
Off the air, the Angels will fire him. But
these kind of things blow my mind, because what is going through your mind when all of this is happening? Like, all right, I've got a list of 5 girls.
Yeah.
Let me go take a photo shoot real quick. Let me find the best. When I need the best of the photos I've taken,
yes,
let me send them to each of them. Send a little message too, and this will be great. It'll be great. At least one of them will like it.
I mean, do guys get women? I mean, I imagine there must be a subset of women out there when you send them the shirtless photo and request them to send you nude photos, who go, "Oh yeah, this is my."
Karen is 1 in a million.
Yeah,
they're very rare.
Well, but if you're Chris Carlos, the husband,
that doesn't make it right,
Karen, and you've got millions of dollars apparently, then maybe your shirtless photo goes further.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much money this guy makes. I mean, he's coaching professionally, so he's probably doing all right. I don't know if maybe he just had some ones on his chest, on his shirtless picture, just around his body. But either way, no. Where's your mother?
He's 45 years old.
You know what the problem is that in his, because it's always these older guys, right? They didn't grow up with parents who had cell phones and the internet in the way we do now. So they were never taught. And for some reason, never being taught is an excuse for a lot of people to go and do stupid things.
Well, and I don't know Mickey Callaway. He's 45. I don't know his background. I'm assuming he used to be a major league player. That's my guess. If he became a manager, my guess. So I'm guessing maybe back in the day when he played, maybe there were some road lizards, some women who put up with some of his incorrigible behavior. So now he thinks this will work. But my God. All right. We mentioned, and she's trending today, Courtside Karen. If you're just tuning in, a woman, 25-ish, kind of looks like your typical Real Housewife of Atlanta. Got into an altercation with LeBron James, was yelling things at him, calling him the B word. LeBron James thought she was the daughter of the older man next to her. Turns out that was her husband. She's kind of a trophy wife. Texas Rican on Twitter writes, fans getting ejected from games for heckling. If it wasn't anything racial, like that dude did in Utah. Fans should be able to say whatever they want. But LeBron is the biggest blank in all of sports, and that includes professional floppers and soccer players. So, I mean, from what we know about courtside Karen, Shannon, so she called him the B word. She was heckling him, but I don't think it was anything racial. So the question is, I mean, did she get thrown out for the heckling, or did she get thrown out for pulling the mask down and yelling at him without the mask? I think it was more of the mask thing that got them tossed. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be a number of things. We don't actually know what the husband said to incite LeBron to begin with. Yeah. But once she's in an argument and calling him, terms that aren't great either. Right. No, they're not racially charged, but they aren't great either. And they're there to watch the game, and he's there to play the game, and they are hindering him from doing so. It's fair to kick him out.
I agree. And there's certain fans who believe they pay for a ticket, and especially
the customer is not always right.
No. Well, the whole heckling thing is, I enjoy heckles that are good-natured and fun, but when it turns into just something ugly and gross and mean, and apparently that's what this was here, and it's a fine line. It's almost like you know it when you hear it, when you see it. Right. I mean, in general, heckling is part of the game. That's part of fans being fans. It would be interesting, and who knows, maybe some more of that video will show up today to give us a better indication on what she was actually and what her husband was saying to LeBron James.
Well, we know that those are their seats and that they're Hawks fans. She said in her little post rant about it that her husband has always been a LeBron hater. So it may not have been LeBron's first interaction with this guy.
Yeah.
This time he just wasn't dealing with it. They've been playing. He's in LA most of the time for his games, and there's no fans there. So there's very few fans that he's come in contact with this season. And he, happens to come in contact with this guy who doesn't have great things to say to him. He goes off, and then his wife is there. Her idea of diffusing is to stand up and fight more. So I think it's perfectly fair that they got kicked out. I would kick someone out like that if I was in that position as well.
Yeah, and when you get to know her on social media, and she is trending, courtside Karen.
She's 25.
She's 25, very entitled. Looks like she's had some work done. And so she's the kind of person who I think deserves to get kicked out. But she is trending, and Sam is predicting before the morning is done, and I agree with him, the producers of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And as Sam said, even if you just do a cameo, even if you do one episode where the other housewives meet her, and then we see footage of the LeBron James altercation with her husband on that court in Atlanta, and then we see some of her videos, I would tune in for that episode. It's must-see TV. All right. The Longhorns, as we mentioned tonight, hosting Baylor. Number 2 Baylor versus number 6 Texas. You probably saw this yesterday, Shannon. A new employee, actually a one-time and now again employee. The University of Texas has rehired former Longhorn quarterback Vince Young as a special assistant in the athletic department. Now, what's interesting about this, Shannon, Vince was fired back in 2019. He did have a full-time $100,000 a year job as a career development officer in the University of Texas Division of Diversity and Community Engagement. He was dismissed for poor performance in 2019. Here we are 2 years later, 2021. They hire Vince Young back. Is this a good move, Shannon?
Well, first, congratulations, Vince. I didn't get to see your tweet announcing it because you, of course, have me blocked on Twitter. We'll recall that...
Vince, unblock Shannon. Come on.
We'll recall that he did have a job that was paying him $100,000. He was not showing up to it. So Texas said, okay, we'll make you part-time. We'll pay you half. You show up for half, and that's how we're going to do it. And then he still didn't even show up for half. So that is how he lost that job, with Texas, and all he had to do for that job is just be Vince Young and show up and get kids to be interested in the university. Great for CDC to hire him to be part of the athletic program. I mean, he is probably a really big selling point in those recruiting pitches of you could be the next BY. So happy for him. I hope he does better this go around and shows up and does what's asked of him, because I know they pay him handsomely just to be Vince Young. It shouldn't be that hard. Just go and be yourself day in and day out. So good luck to you, sir.
I am still so sad, and I know, hopefully Vince is listening. Vince, if you're listening, unblock Shannon, or Vince or somebody close to Vince, you gotta tell Vince to unblock Shannon.
All right, I have the station accounts. I can go see his stuff.
His last tweet was 13 hours ago. I see everyone is hearing the news that CDC has been working for our Longhorns. So happy to be able to help him out, as well as everyone in the athletic department. Share my knowledge and experiences, reach out in the community, and serve the school I love. I bleed orange, with the hook'em sign. So
that's what you were supposed to do last time. So let's see. Not a lot of people get a second chances like that. And this is his third.
Vince, come on, man. Now, if you run into him, is the steakhouse still a thing?
Yeah, and I know he frequents because his name's on it, but I don't think he financially has anything to do with it. I believe it's Mattress Mac from Houston, his daughter.
And it's not Larry Foles.
No, it's not.
Owner of ATX.
But it is a great place. Probably my favorite burger in all of Austin.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Plus the burnt orange ketchup isn't bad either.
301 San Jacinto. I just pulled it up on.
If you're a fan of MTV's The Real World, you should check it out too, because that was originally The Real World House until the season was done shooting and it got turned into VY's.
Nice. Now, Vince has blocked you on Twitter. Now, the Vince Young Steakhouse is on Twitter at VY Steakhouse. Do you follow them, and have they blocked you yet? The steakhouse.
I haven't been followed, but they got into some controversy recently, so I'm surprised. I don't even know if they're active on social media anymore, because I forget what it was. But
they retweeted Vince's tweet that I just from 13 hours ago. They retweeted that, and their last tweet is on January 14th. So they are still
Well, they need Vince to be relevant, and it helps that he's relevant in the city of which their establishment is. So I think it's good for all parties. Just do your job, Vince. Show up
and unblock Shannon. I'm probably getting blocked right now as we speak. It's like, all right, I'll show them. I'm going to block Chris.
And then at the same time, he's like texted Kevin Durant and told him to block us as well.
I'm going to block Sam Freese as well. Sam Freese, a great job as always, sir.
Always fun, y'all.
Now, you are back Thursday. I'm trying to get my days straight.
Indeed. That's what they tell me.
All right. Sam will be back on Thursday. Tomorrow, it will be Jeremy Fouts. Also on the show tomorrow, 8:35. Dallas Cowboys legend Drew Pearson, 8:35 tomorrow. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, former voice of the Longhorns. I'm sure we'll get his reaction to Baylor versus Texas in the aftermath. I'm sure he'll be watching tonight, so we'll get analysis from Bill on that as well. Bill Schoening at 8:06 tomorrow. Drew Pearson at 8:35. Shannon Salty Sweeney, great job as always. I hope you enjoy your taco at ATX Cocina today.
I'm off to get iced coffee.
Iced coffee and tacos.
Oh, yeah.
And a little basketball tonight, Baylor versus Texas. For Sam, for Shannon, we will see you in 21 hours, and I hope we are celebrating a Longhorn victory over Baylor. Have a great Taco Tuesday. Hasta la vista, baby. Thank you, Shannon. I forgot to get the poll results. I was so into Vince. My bad.